You know I can't recall the day your dream became my life. I've lived an eternity with you by my side. You by my side. Like the sun and the moon I've seen, that your light reflects mine. And riding together we have conquered the skies. But for so long I failed to see the truth as I searched for a fantasy that lived within you. Said, how did you know that you'd be my angel when your wings were draped into my heart? Where did you see that we would be wonderful and our dreams would live where we are?
Hello, I'm Shane Schultz from Serenely Speaking, and this is the Arisen Strength podcast. Folks, we do this show because we feel there are far too many dreams, talents, and capabilities that are being suppressed for whatever reason. Whether it be injury, illness, or life experiences, these situations have a way of finding us being robbed of what it is that makes us special and unique in this world, our passions. Here at Arisen Strength, we encourage people to pursue their passions in spite of the challenges they face. Now, how we do that is with our three-pillar concept. Number one, we support. Number two, we empower. And after all that work, number three, we have the right to celebrate. Folks, that's the Arisen Strength concept. Our goal is to help bring back the passions of life to you again. Tonight on episode 24, we discuss part 3 of our hashtag Life is Worth Living series, Why Do We Feel the Way We Do? But before we get started, let me go ahead and introduce you to my good friend, Wayne the Hack Hacker. Wayne, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. It's just one of my favorite holidays. Probably my favorite holiday, Halloween. Happy Halloween this week, everybody.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Did you have a costume, Shane, that you're planning on using?
I'm half Batman.
Half Batman? Half man?
Half man.
And I like it because it's one of those great holidays where people put on, they disguise their outside, and that gives them an opportunity to let the real inside out. So if you've seen people in costumes, a lot of times they're acting. That's the way they are, because now they're not embarrassed. They're a lot less inhibitions, and they can kind of let out who they are, and they're a lot more comfortable. And it's being able to put that. It's interesting that you put a mask on the outside and it frees the inside, as opposed to, it seems like a lot of times during our lives we go through with our outside exposed and we hide what's on the inside. Yeah, I like Halloween like that. It makes me think a little bit.
And it's fun. It's part of what's life is worth living.
Yeah, life we're living is a great, theme for these months, this series of shows. And for me, life is worth living involves a lot of connecting with people, a lot of connecting with the universe. It's getting outside of yourself. When I'm just isolating and I'm closing in, and shutting myself off and just going to existence mode. A lot of times, early recovery feels that way, where it's just the only thing I do is just don't drink today. Well, that's just existing at that point. And sometimes we have to get into that mode, it's survival mode, but it's not living mode. Living mode is that opening up. It's connecting with other people. It's connecting with your environment. It's appreciating a cold day, appreciating a sunny day, appreciating the rain. So all that makes life worth living. For me, it's that connection part.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a whole point to hashtag is life is worth living, is because it truly is, but you got to find why it is. And this particular episode that we're going to be talking about today, numbered part 3 of that series, why do we feel the way that we do? There is an actual reality as to why that is, and there's a number of different factors that attribute to it. But before we get right there, you can notice that there is in the background here our good friends and alliances that have decided to partner with us with the hashtag Life is Worth Living series. We have Rustic for Life with Angela Harding. Our good friends at Anxiety and Depression Warriors 2.0 on Facebook. Joelle, the Lupus Diva May. She brings her health and wellness project along. World Lyme Day, our good friends Terry and Rebecca. Days Community with Ellen Stone. Hope Over Pain Empowerment. Just guess where the empowerment word came from. And then we have our good friends at Unveiling Stigma, another Facebook group that's been with us since the very beginning. Those are our friends with Charles and Harper Harper is now working with us with our Speaking to the Heart Network. So
along
we
with
got a lot of things.
Lupus Diva and Angela Harding.
Yep, exactly.
That's something we're going to talk a little bit about tonight, maybe a little bit later. But that whole Speaking to the Heart Radio Network, we got shows coming to you every night of the week. It seems like.
Yeah, we do, and it's fun. We kicked it off this week. And we made it through. And I'm not saying that there weren't challenges, because there were, but for the most part, I would say I'm very proud of what it is that we put out. We've got a great lineup of shows, some great people that have great advice in order to be able to help out others, and we're just going to continue to do what we do, because I think it's the way to go. So that's about, we're rolling right along, just like we are with this series of shows that we're doing. Why do we feel the way that we do? Wayne, you and I, we've been through the gambit. We've been through addiction. We've been through mental health. We've been through life experiences. We had a whole lot of things that went on in our lives, although they were separate lives. That attributed to why it is that we feel the way that we feel in a lot of ways, and have.
Yeah, and I think one of the big ones is, for me, is sort of almost like a choice in a sense. It's the perception. It's when I look at a situation or experience a situation, how am I judging this situation? Mindfulness teaches us to sort of reserve our judgments, to pull the judgment back, because that helps turn down the emotion a little bit. But, we're all judgmental in some sense, and judgmental doesn't necessarily mean negative. You could have, sort of a positive spin on things. That's a judgment. And you mentioned this week, we had a lot of challenges with the network. I think we got every show up and we got every show out. I mean, wasn't flawless. Obviously, that happens. But that word challenge, that's kind of a neutral word for me, because that could easily been a crisis. If we were not in a good headspace, or if we let it get to us, those challenges would have turned into a crisis, and that would have been leaning us over there to the negative side. But what we did, and what I like to do, and it's the words I use, is I try to take that crisis, use the neutral word challenge, and then think of that challenge as an opportunity. Yeah. And as an opportunity, in this case, learning experience, we learn what not to do. Mm-hmm. It reminds me, it's the story of Thomas Edison with the light bulb. Right. And a reporter asked him one time, because he tried like 2,000 different things before he honed in on the magnesium or whatever it is that he used back then, but the filament. And the reporter said, well, how did it feel to fail like 2,000 times before you got it right? And he says, I learned 2,000 ways how not to make a light bulb. And that's just a perception. It's a point of view. It's an attitude. And a lot of way we feel is our attitude. People say, well, it's the situation I'm in determines it, or it's the people around me, or it's this, it's that. And those things can figure into it, no doubt. Sure. But a big part of it is the way you feel about it. Mm-hmm. Thomas Edison saying, hey, this is an opportunity. I learned 2,000 ways not to make a light bulb. Keeps a smile on his face. We learned some things, what not to do with the radio show. But that gives us a chance of learning what to do, and we get to move forward. So there are challenges, and life is worth living. What is life if there's no challenges, right? Life is about challenges. We've talked about that in one of the earlier episodes of part of the Life is Worth Challenging, Life is Worth Living series, and that feel that being challenged, being we had a different word for it though. Adversity, facing adversity, right? That's when you're living. If you're not facing adversity, then you're just existing. You're just kind of, which can be an okay thing. I mean, there's in the short term, it's as a survival technique. I need to survive today, but it's not a matter. That's not an end game. That's not a place where you want to stay. That's a place where you kind of recoup for a second. But then you got to start living, and life is worth living is that helping turn existing into living. And part of that is facing challenges, facing them down, going through them. You get through the challenges and look for the opportunity in those challenges.
And all the things that we do, it includes adversity. I mean, Arisen Strength, that didn't just come just because everything was going fine and everything was going well. Arisen Strength came from adversity, you know, and when I say Arisen Strength came from, I'm not talking about what it is that we do. I'm not even talking about the motivational piece that I wrote. I'm talking about what I consider our Arisen Strength, and that is when we are pushed to a limit to where we think that we can't go any further, and next thing you know, the heart kicks in, and that's where things start to happen, and that's where you want these things to happen. The adversity creates that. And the same thing with speaking to the heart network. Same damn thing. We're not speaking to the heart to serenade it. We're speaking to the heart because we want the heart to start kicking in, so that when it does kick in, miraculous things can happen. And that's what we do. We're trying to show people, hey, look, you're stronger than what it is that you think. You're more resilient than what it is that you think. You're smarter than what it is that you think. And a whole lot of things get into people as to where it creates that suppressed feeling because they start believing in the things that they think, and it might not be the correct way to think about things. It might be a distorted view of things, which is very easy to do when you're talking about some difficult times and difficult subjects that we talk about all the time, here on this show. And, whether it be illness, injury, or life experiences, there are plenty of things out there in this world that can suppress the heck out of you to the point as to where your dreams, talents, and capabilities are nowhere exist. They're barely existent. They're nowhere to be found, and we got to find them again.
And you're right, is you can't be defined by your injury. You cannot be defined. You are more than your injury. You are more than your illness. You are more than your life experience. I mean, those things are, they played a role, and in a lot of cases, a major role in getting you to where you are right now. But that's not you. I mean, you are your entire life, your entire future. It's that whole life is worth living. You can be who you want to be as long as, one, you accept your injury, your illness, your life experience. You have to know where you stand. And that's fighting that distortion, that distortive thinking, challenging your thoughts, and then using that as strength to, find the good, find the strong, find the opportunity, find the hope. It's not easy. I mean, we say those words and the words flow maybe, but the work has to be done.
It comes from experience. I mean, listen, I was talking to somebody today, about, they asked me, how do I do it? How do I go about, how am I so inspiring when I speak? How am I so, empowered to be able to make things happen the way that I do? Listen, it doesn't come from the fact that I had the greatest things in the world, all my life. It comes from adversity. It comes from a whole lot of things that happened to me that pushed me to the edge. And I'm not proud to say it, but I think that it's necessary to say and to identify, since this series of shows, Life is Worth Living, hashtag Life is Worth Living, is based off of suicide awareness and prevention. We brought the darkness of what, the awareness of what suicide is, and now we're talking about the light of prevention, and we're trying to keep people from getting to that magnetic path. That's what I talked about over the past two shows. We've talked about awareness, and we've talked about, what was the other one?
How we value ourselves.
How do we value our self-worth and ourselves? And that was all about not getting to that path, not getting to where that magnetic path is, which I know all too well about. So I gave up a number of times. Now, did I give up in saying, look, I give up? No. I fought and fought and fought until I was pretty much semi-conscious before I did give up. And you know, you can go that route, and you can fight it all that you want, but I got news for you. It doesn't matter how hard you're fighting. It doesn't matter how strong you are. If you're not effective, if you're not being focused on what it is that you're fighting, then you're just wasting a whole lot of energy, and energy that you can't afford to give up. And so what we're trying to do here with the hashtag Life is Worth Living series is to bring a set of skills to be able to, for people to take hold of and utilize from now until in the future, you know, in hopes that it helps them understand and they get the truth. This episode is about the truth. It's not about you know, the we wish or the dream or anything in that sense. It's about the truth. And so many times the truth is not accepted by somebody who feels like they're at that point. They feel that things are so much worse than what it is that they are. And there's reason for those feelings. There's cause for those feelings. But the reality of the situation is that we do have strength. We do have the capabilities of being able to turn things around, and then we then utilize what makes us special and unique in this world, and that's our passions into purpose. And that's when things really start moving.
Yeah, and you talk about, you know, giving tools, or, you know, providing opportunities for people to pick up their own tools, because adding tools to your toolbox, so to speak, you know, can help you in a lot of different situations. I know for a long time, this is an analogy I like to use, is you know, a long time, my only tool was a shovel. And when you find yourself in a hole and your only tool is a shovel, it doesn't matter how hard you work, how fast you dig, you're not really getting yourself out of that hole until you finally are just exhausted. You completely expelled yourself. There's nothing left for you to do but, you know, to shrivel up at the bottom of that hole. And you say, you know, but I tried so hard. I was like, well, you had the wrong tool. And just having the tool, and there's another side to that, having the right tool is not enough. You got to know how to use that tool. I think there's this great cartoon, a comic, you know, single panel comic of a guy trying to look over a high wall, and he's got a bunch of ladders piled up. You know, just a heap of ladders, and he's standing on top of a heap of ladders, and he's, you know, kind of looks like he's teetering, he's off balance, and he can't quite see over. You know, it doesn't matter, you know, how many resources you have, even if they're the right resources for the job, which the ladder would have been, just one ladder would have been enough. If you're not using it right, it's not helping you. You know, and so that's what we talk about, these tools, and a big part of them are, one, have the right tool for the right job, know how to use a tool. And that's, you know, that's just part of living, and it's part of adversity. Some of that you learn the hard way, but you have to learn and keep moving on.
And that's something also that, you know, one thing that I learned in 12-step program. The 12-step program, what I learned is that it was a unique way to better myself than what most people don't get the opportunity to do. Because most people, they stop learning after they get out of college and they get in the workforce, and then they just learn what it is that they work. They learn what it is that they have in their life, but they really don't learn about themselves because they think that they're normal, they're average. So why look into that? Yet people who are challenged and specifically with addiction and so forth, going to a meeting, you know, once, twice, 3 times a week, learning about yourself, I became a better person. You know, I not only found what it is that was about me and what it is that made me, but then I learned how to make me better than what it is that I was before.
And it's more than just going to the meetings, right?
You got to work at it.
Like they say, one of their little mottos is, you know, it works if you work it.
Yeah.
It's not just going to the meetings. It's not just going through the motions. It's actually getting the heart rate up and then doing the hard work after that. It's when you can't, you know, that's, you know, it's like any workout. You push yourself to a limit and then you do a little more. If you're only doing what you've always done,
That's what you're always going to get.
Yeah, you're not growing, you're not changing, and you're going to get what you always got. You always do what you always did. You'll always get what you always got. And that's a big part of it. And, I hear a lot of stuff. I say I'm probably on the internet. That's where I get most of my information from, different websites, newspaper articles and stuff. But a lot of people, sort of, they complain, they bitch, they moan about the 12-step program, saying they don't work, they don't work, they don't work, and they'll look at the numbers and say, well, just look at the numbers. Number of people who go to them, and the number of people who successfully manage their addiction and get to live a sober life, and then they compare that to sort of numbers of people who just don't go to 12-step programs, and the numbers are about the same, and it's like, but how much of those people really were working the program? I did it 90-90, but did you do anything? Did you really do it, or did you just show up? If you're just showing up to life, which that's not just 12-step programs, that's just everything. If you're just showing up to life, you're not really living. You're just existing. Our hashtag this month, life is worth living. Anything worth doing is worth doing well. It's worth attempting, right? It's worth putting the effort in. If you're not willing to put the effort in, do something that you are willing to put the effort in. Find a purpose. Again, we're not going to tell somebody you must put your effort into going to meetings. If that's not for you, that's okay. Find what works for you. Find what interests you. Find something that you think is worth doing, and then do that.
Well, it's like, and listen, I'm not saying that everybody out there is addicted, okay? And I know that there are a lot of our friends a lot of our audience that are out there that are not, and they have chronic illness and everything. I got news for you. You have the same pattern. You have the same thoughts as what somebody does that is addicted to something. And I'll tell you why. Because here's the thing. Wayne just mentioned about how the percentages are very similar to somebody who just is abstinent versus somebody who's working the program. They're just looking at it from the standpoint, do they participate in their addiction? They're not looking at the overall person. They're not looking at the advancements of that person. Because I got news for you. I've been in 12-step program before, and I've had a number of guys who say that they've been abstinent and they don't feel that they need the 12 steps anymore, and they are the most miserable people in the world. Now, they may not, in my case it was gambling, they may not have gambled, but they're miserable, and they're rude, and angry, and in strife and everything. See, that's not what I'm trying to get you to do. I'm not trying to get you to just, turn the thought. Oh, well, okay, I need to turn the thought. Okay, well, nope, I don't feel the pain anymore when you damn well do. It's like, all right, I'm not going to be angry at my doctor. You know damn well you're going to be. Okay? I'm not saying that. We know that this is going to be part of the equation. What we're trying to do is trying to give you the skill set so that you can go ahead and you can balance out your life. It's not about winning 110%. It's just not about that. That's not what life is really about. Life at its happiest is balanced. It's a balanced deal. It's not, everything is 110% perfect. I don't know anybody who's got that. And I know a lot of people who have money, and I know a lot of people who have jobs that are very good and everything. I know a lot of people who are popular, and I don't know too many people who have 110% where it's perfect. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to balance it out. Yes, you're going to have strife. You're going to have your challenges. You're going to have your challenges with your disease. You're going to have challenges with your pain. You're going to have challenges with your injury. You're going to have challenges with your life experiences. We know this. What we're trying to do is to take the skill sets that we know works for us, and we're trying to give them to you so that you can utilize them, so you can balance out the equation a little bit and have a better life for it. And that's really what hashtag life is worth living is all about, because it's trying to get people to understand your life, like you had said, is not defined by what is going on with you. It's not defined by your injury. It's not defined by your illness. It's not defined by your life experience. I was sexually assaulted when I was in a homeless shelter. Am I defined by that? Because I got news for you. Anybody who knows me, who looks from the outside in, doesn't have a clue that that happened to me. In fact, when they hear it from me, they're like, I would have never expected it from you. And so that's just the bottom line. And there's a lot of people who have gone through a whole lot of things that unfortunately suppress them so much that they just don't move anymore. I was having the discussion with another friend today. Remember when we talked about the elephant? Conditioning of the elephant, the baby elephant? It's the same damn thing. You've got a baby elephant. I got news for you. A baby elephant is stronger than any human being, any number of human beings probably, and a car. Okay? It can move a car. All right? A baby elephant. Now, how they actually train a baby elephant or condition a baby elephant so that it doesn't take off and run wild like it wants to or thinks that it can, how they do that is they don't get a chain. They don't get like laser beams or anything like that. You know what they get? A piece of rope. Now, the rope is relatively a big one. Okay, I'll give you that. But it's a rope. It's not a chain. Okay? So they go ahead, they put a stake in the ground, and they take that rope. And over a period of time, they shorten that rope more and more and more. And the elephant, he starts feeling the adversity, right? He starts feeling that tension, and he's like, oh, wait a minute, I'm not supposed to go past this part. And so as they shorten it up more, next thing you know, he ain't going nowhere. Because he doesn't feel that he can. Because he's suppressed. His dreams, his thoughts, his ambitions, they're suppressed. He has no idea what it is that he's thinking anymore. He just knows that he's not supposed to go past that point with that rope. See, what we do here, and I did this at another show, is I'm going to walk up to that elephant's ear and I'm going to go, run! And boom, gone. Here's the thing. The elephant can take that rope and not only snap it in half, it can take the stake right out of the damn ground and go. That's what we're trying to tell you. We're trying to tell you, yeah, you've been through a lot of things. Yeah, you feel a lot of things, but doesn't mean that you can't do a whole lot more than what you think you can.
Yeah, and part of that is also, and this is the acceptance piece, right? You can't, you can't sort of deny your life experience, your illness, your injury. That is part of you, and it's going to affect your choices in some way. But once you understand sort of what that effect is, then you can start looking for the opportunity for where you can express yourself. So you have to sort of embrace, take ownership, of your history, whatever that is. And then use that to your advantage. I mean, use that strength. You talk this one story about the depression at the door, right? And it's this beast that's out there, and it's controlling you from the outside. It's outside and keeps you trapped inside. And it's not until you open the door and invite the depression in,
to where you're free,
that you can deal with it. That yes, it's part of your life, but once you recognize that, now you're free to come and go. But as long as you're denying it and you're hiding from it, and it's on the outside and you're trapped inside, then it's defining you. And the lupus diva, right there in her name, right? She embraces that. Okay, she doesn't let that hold her down, though. She's not a lupus victim. She's not somebody whose life is taken away from her because she has lupus. Okay, no, she's the lupus diva. She knows what her limitations are, and then she pushes past them. She knows what they are, and then and that's where she operates from at a baseline. But then she pushes past that, and her just go to Facebook and see her health and fitness pictures. She makes beautiful food, delicious food, and then her exercise program, it's working. She's definitely in shape. She does not look like somebody who is struggling with lupus, autoimmune disease, just racking her insides. Because she doesn't let it define her. She embraces it, and then moves beyond it.
She utilizes her strengths. That's what she does, and like you mentioned with the depression, as an example, we got a whole lot of people out there that have depression and anxiety. Um, you know, Again, I'll give you the look. You're sitting there. Your challenge or your struggle is on the outside of the door. You're on the inside in the home. Okay, you are trying to keep whatever's on the outside from coming into your home. All right. What are you going to do? Well, you're going to take everything that you've got and you're going to be pushing against that door from keeping that thing coming into your house. The only problem is you ain't going to be doing anything else. You're only going to be at that door. And you're going to be doing everything that you can. And you're going to be expending all your energy. You're going to be expending all your thoughts. You're going to be expending all your prayers, all of everything that you've got to holding that door closed. You're not going to be living life. You're not going to be making phone calls to talk to friends. You're not going to be eating right because you can't, right? I mean, whatever you're eating, it's got to be quick because you got to keep that door closed. The minute that thing starts coming in, you got to jump right at that door and make sure that it's closed. See, that is suppressed. That's suppression. That's where when our life is consumed by what it is that are challenges that we face. And what I suggest is that you open the door and you let them in. You let it into your home. Now, does that mean that you accept it? No, not necessarily. I mean, what it is that
you don't condone it. You're not happy about it.
Right.
But you have to accept that it's there.
Right.
So open the door and let it in.
Right, exactly. You don't condone it. That's a better word. You don't condone it. You don't have to like it. Okay? You can sit there and you can give it dagger eyes all that you want. And you can tell it, you sit right there. I'll deal with you when I'm ready. Okay? But in the meantime, while this thing is sitting at your sofa or your chair or whatever, and you're saying stay right there, guess what? The door's wide open. You can go outside, right? You don't have to deal with this anymore. Now, are you going to have to deal with it eventually? Yes, you are. There's no getting around that. You will have to deal with it eventually. But it's on your terms now. It's not on the terms of the challenge that you face. And that's a big, big difference in life. And once you start figuring that out,
man, life is worth living.
Yeah, that's the freedom of acceptance, right? By accepting it, you free yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and then you deal with it from there. But until you've done that, you're a prisoner of your own making.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talk about a lot of, when it came to our again, we're going to talk about addiction. We're going to talk about whether it be pain, whether it be illness, whatever here's the thing. It's never going to end. It's always going to be the same. I'm never going to be better. I'm always going to be like this. You see the pattern here? It's language. Instead of saying, I don't feel well right now. Now, what's that do for you? Just using a different language, just by using the words right now, and that's what we emphasized in a number of our shows. Use the words right now. What does that do for you? Well, that means that things don't have to be the way that they are even a minute after now, or a month after now, or a year after now. That means that there are possibilities. That means that there's possibility and there's hope of which is out there for you to grasp hold of. And you're in control. See, you get in control of your language. You get in control of your actions. Life becomes more manageable. It becomes more understandable. Things start making sense. When we're in a situation as to where, Wayne's not been in the situation with regards to suicide. I have been. When you're sitting there into that mode, things don't make sense anymore. The only thing that you care about is I just can't do it. I can't deal with this anymore. This life is just not for me. My friends, my family isn't involved with me. work is it's like I dropped out of college, or I went to college and I'm only at a this job of which I can't stand. Okay, my friends backstab me. Uh, you know, um, it's like an avalanche of things are going on. That's the type of attitude that you've got. Guess what? It's like there's a thing that's called the law of attraction. You're doing the opposite. Okay? So you are bringing the opposite to you. And anything that's not attractive to you is going to be coming right along with it.
No, you start making a list of all the things that are wrong in your life. That list starts growing and growing and growing, and it becomes really easy to see all the things that are wrong. Well, we can flip the script, right? You could think about the good things. People talk about making a gratitude list. I mean, the point of making a gratitude list is to remind you, one, of the things that you have to be grateful for, but you also start noticing that as you do it, more things start coming out. You start noticing the good. When you start looking for the good and start feeling the good, you start noticing even more good and more good and more good. And then that affects the way we feel. A lot of times, why do we feel the way we do? It has to do with what's our spin on the situation. But my current spin on the current situation can start defining me, defining the way I feel or controlling the way I feel down the road. And the way I feel now will be the result of the way I was thinking before. So if I could alter my thinking a little bit, turn the thought, widen my perspective, look for the good, look for the opportunity, it's not going to be easy to see the first time you start doing it. That's for sure. If you've been living that negative life with those negative glasses on and seeing nothing but negativity, it's hard to see that good. It's camouflaged. It's pretty well camouflaged at that point. But as you start noticing it, you start picking it out, you'll notice, you see it more and more and more and more and more. And then all that negativity, you stop noticing it, or it's not as easy to notice. It kind of it recedes into the background, and then you see a lot of the good. I think we all know people in our lives that just seem a little too happy. It's like, do they not see the same world I'm seeing? And the answer is, okay, they're seeing the same world. They're just experiencing it differently because they're thinking about it differently. They have a little bit different perspective, and that perspective is not impossible for you to achieve, right? It's not, that perspective is available to all of us, and it's creates opportunity. It was, when you were talking about once you have that freedom of acceptance, and that creates that opportunity for hope, opportunity for possibilities. And then now I can widen my eyes. I can look. I have maybe a new direction to move. I have something I can be excited about, something that is worth doing for me, and then I start doing it.
Yeah, here's another thing. Okay, we've all, if we haven't bought a new car of our own, we know that our parents have bought one, or we know somebody that's bought one. So let's kind of take it to a different direction, all right? Here you are, you buy this car. Now this car is something that you've not seen very much, right? You haven't seen this color. You haven't seen the make of it. You haven't seen it very much. It's cool. You'd say, oh, well, I like that. It's different than any other car that I've seen. It's a different color than whatever it is I've seen. Did you ever notice the minute that you drive that car that's totally unique to anything that you've ever seen, you see another one that's just like it going down the road? Then as you're going to work, you see about 3 others that are going down the road. Wait, what happened? You think that there was some sale that was just based off of the color that you picked out, and then all of a sudden they were there? No. Your eyes were open. Your mind was open. See, that's the thing. A lot of people think that our eyes just work because that's what they do. Our eyes see what we feel, what we think. They don't just work just because they work. There's a lot of things that we see we don't acknowledge. Okay? So if we're sitting there and we're not feeling all that well, or we feel depressed, or we feel like self-harming ourselves, whatever the case may be, do you think that you're going to be looking for something that's going to be good or positive? No. Now, why is that? Well, because there's a thing called validation. You need to validate what it is that you feel on the inside. You are sitting there and you're saying, I feel this way, therefore I have to prove that there's a reason why I feel this way. So what are you going to do? Well, you're going to act a certain way. You're going to be a certain way with your friends. You're going to be a certain way with your family. You're going to be a certain way with strangers. Okay? You're going to be a certain way with yourself. Because you have to validate what it is that you feel on the inside. Because nobody else understands. So you have to make it so that it's true. It's you in the mathematics. Okay? There's true, false, right? Is this equation true or false? Well, you're trying to prove the equation to be true. Now, here's the problem. It very well may be false. Because, again, you're using language, you're using thoughts, you're using feelings to determine how it is that you're going to be. And you're suppressing yourself from everything else. You're suppressing yourself from somebody who actually cares about you. You're suppressing yourself from the next door neighbor or the complete stranger who's walking down the hallway who says, "Hi, I hope you're having a good day." You don't even hear that. All you hear, you may hear "hi." Okay? You may hear that. But you won't hear "I hope you're having a good day." And it's a very distinct possibility. You ain't going to even hear "hi." Because you're going to already have a determination in your head that this person isn't worth talking to because they don't know how it is that you feel. This is what happens, okay? Take it from somebody that knows. I've been there. When I was in the situation that I was in, when I started, having the thoughts that I had, I got to tell you, I was willing to blame anybody and everybody for what it is that I was feeling. I was willing to blame my family. I was willing to blame myself. I self-loathed. I was willing to blame myself every day. I was willing to blame the world. I was willing to blame the people who are having a good life. I was willing to blame anybody. And the thing is, it wasn't true. My family loved me. They just did it the way that they thought that it was best to do. Sometimes it was a good way. Sometimes it was a way that just didn't work out all that well. Why didn't it work out that well? See, you have to go deeper. It's called drilling down. Okay? As a manager knows, when they're trying to find a solution to a problem, they drill down. You have to go past that surface point. Okay? It's not just about how people, what you think, and that's it. I had a guy at work one day, and it said, with reporting. I did reports, right? And we were doing a different report, and the guy ran a report. He just pushed a button, and he did the parameters and everything. And I said, okay, well, how do you know that it's right? Well, because I did it. Okay, well, I have a master's degree. Don't you believe me that I did it right? I said, well, I do believe that you have a master's degree, but I think that there's another point of the process that'll prove it. Does it foot to the other numbers of the other report? Well, I don't have to do that. I know it's right. I did it right. That's what we do. I know it's right. I know what it is that I'm feeling is right. I know it's the way I feel. And I'm the one that's feeling it. Therefore, I know it's true. Nah. I don't care what type of school you got. I don't care what type of family you got. I don't care what type of money you got. You can be distorted thoughts into your head. And it's not that you're dumb. It's not that you're not capable. It's that you're suppressed. It's that your eyes are closed. It's that not your eyes are wide open, but your mind are closed.
Exactly. Yeah, that's where we see, right? We see what we see in the brain. The eyes are open, the lights come in the eyes. Okay, that's just doing what it's doing. activating cones and rods, sending nerve impulses to the brain. All the seeing happens in the brain, and the brain looks for certain things. It emphasizes things, it de-emphasizes other things, and it distorts. We don't have a true representation of what's happening in front of us. We are picking out things to look at, and one of the ways expectation, and that's that thing. I'm sure I'm right. The more sure you are that you're right,
the more you need to question it.
The more you need to question it, because what you're doing is you're shutting down any possibility that you might be wrong. And so your brain starts narrowing, and you never figure out what the real problem is, because you're so sure about everything that you're doing that you're unable to, sort of, sometimes it's very obvious things like, Okay? So just notice that when you're sure about something, that's a time to just to leave open the possibility that you could be wrong. And that's something that, my background working with scientists, my background's mathematics, but one of the things that all the scientists and engineers learn, and it's something that's drilled into them, is to leave open the possibility that you are completely wrong. Because if you're not, then you're going to start doing things to prove that you're right. And that's just kind of a normal human thing too. We seek out things that affirm what we're already feeling.
To validate what we're thinking.
And it's related to that law of attraction, right? If I'm in a bad mood, I'm looking for negative things because it justifies my bad mood. And in a way, this is what this is related to. When I'm really sure about things, then what I start doing is I look for things to prove that I'm right. Because how many times have we've all done it? You're trying to convince somebody that you're right. So you're pointing out all the ways that you're right. I must be right. Look at this. I did this. I did this. I don't have to be right. I have to be right. Well, doing all that doesn't make you right. What makes you right is not doing the wrong thing. So you can point out all the right things you're doing, but you're not really making a case for why you're wrong. The way your case is being made for what's wrong is you got to look at the wrong things you're doing. Don't look at the right things you're doing. Look at the wrong things you're doing. That's what they talk about. Sometimes they talk about science. Science is the art of proving yourself wrong. It's like, okay, I'm going to try and prove myself wrong here. And then you kind of go against yourself a little bit because you don't want to get fooled. You don't want to get into this habit of proving yourself right. Because it's too narrow, it's too focused, it's too limited, it's too easy to be distorted. When you're trying to prove yourself wrong, it makes you work a little harder, it makes you look a little bit more honest. Debate teams, this is like something you do in debate. I've never did debate, but I had friends that do this, forensics, they call it. Yeah. Is sometimes they'll have them where, you prepare for a debate, but you don't know what side you're on. Yeah. It's like you got to be able to go for or against this thing, because the problem is if you know what side you're on beforehand, then you sometimes you don't take the effort to know what the opposing side is. What are they going to use to come against me? If I'm prepared to go both ways, if I'm just not sure, in that case what to do, then I have to be prepared on both sides. And in other words, I got to be willing to argue against myself. What would, if I said what I'm going to say, what would somebody else say against that? And if you're not careful, you end up, laying a trap for yourself, because you go headstrong, and you never expected something out of left field because you never thought about it from a different perspective. You didn't try to prove yourself wrong. You didn't challenge yourself. You didn't leave open the possibility that you may not be right. So the more sure you feel about something, that's flag that says, let me just leave open a little space where I may be wrong.
Let me tell you a personal story, and we're going to wrap it up pretty much after that. But a personal story here is, as I was younger, I got decent grades. They weren't bad. They were middle line, maybe a little bit above middle line. But my parents, they wanted me to do better, because the teachers always said, well, he's just not applying himself, because he certainly can do better than what he is that he's doing. And that might have been true, and maybe it wasn't. We don't know, and we never will know. So anyways, my family came to me and they said, look, if you don't get your grades up, we're going to send you to a military Catholic school. So, well, I'm like, okay, my grades were like B+, B, something in that sense. It wasn't horrible, and it wasn't good. You know what I mean? I guess. But the thing is that I kept a B plus, for the most part. Now, did I have a C because of not doing my homework? Absolutely. But I mean, my average was about a B plus. So, comes to find out, the year ends. I keep my B plus, right? And I'm thinking, there's no way that they're gonna change my life based off of a B plus. I mean, come on, look, this guy's doing D's. This guy, he's in summer school. Why are you gonna pick on me, right? So next thing you know, well, we're visiting the military Catholic school. We're going through the orientation of it all and everything. I'm like, yeah, no, they're not going to make me do this. I'm fine. They're not going to uproot me out of my normal life and put me into a military Catholic school just because I have a B plus average. They're not going to do that. Guess what? Because the next year I was enrolled into this military Catholic school. Now, here's the thing. I went in there with my brain thinking a whole lot of things. It was thinking, why in the world am I being taken out of what it is that I'm familiar with? Why am I being taken out of my hometown in order to go to a military school? And what the heck did I do? Do you not like me? You know what I mean? Are you just want to punish me? Whatever. So I'm going through that now. It wasn't the only thing that was going on. I mean, obviously, throughout this show, I've spoken about my challenges that I've had since I was very young. I had a self-loathing thing that was going on that I just didn't fit in. I fit with everybody, which means I didn't fit anywhere. So it was one of those things as to where, okay, I got through. You know what I mean? I did all right. I didn't do great. I didn't excel. I didn't do, and everything like this. Years went by. And I still had resentment towards going to a military Catholic school. I mean, my friends and everything kind of dissipated, kind of went away. You know what I mean? Again, not just because I went to a military Catholic school, because of a whole lot of things that were going on within me. So here it is. I'm thinking, okay, it's the military Catholic school thing. This is why I am the way I am. Yeah, whatever. When I say years, I think I was 34, 35. And I was, and I'm sitting there, and it was one of those moments when I'm with my mother. And my mother and we every once in a while, we have these very heart-to-heart talks. And we can pretty much say anything that we mean, and we get it out. So, and it doesn't happen often, but every once in a while. So I'm sitting there, and I'll never forget the day. I'm in a pool. She's on the on the recliner thing in the pool and everything. And I said, all right, since we're being real, I said, not for nothing. Was I that much of a hoodlum? She's like, why would you ever think that you were a hoodlum? And I said, you took me and you uprooted me from my hometown and had me go to a military Catholic school. I said, most people do that in order to discipline their child. And she said, Shane, we did all that we could to make it so that you could go to the best school that we could afford. Now, here's a prime example of your eyes not seeing what it is that's really going on. My father had a prized car of his. It was a Corvette, okay, that he loved to death. He sold that car so that I could go to the military Catholic school and get the best education that I could get. That school was number 6 in the country in academics when I was there, okay? The point is, was I valid in all the thoughts and feelings that I had? I absolutely was. Because that's what I was told. If you don't get your grades up, you're going to go here. It sounded punitive. It sounded like this is an ultimatum. Boom. Okay? So I had every right to feel the way that I felt. Was it true? The answer is no. And I went years, decades, with the wrong feelings, the wrong thoughts, because I only saw one way, and I didn't challenge that. And another thing that I didn't do, I didn't communicate, and that's something that we really need to talk about in the next episode, or with the Arisen Strength Extra. So this is what I'm talking about. Hashtag life is worth living. Find a way why. Find a way why it is. And don't be the one to judge it, because you're not healthy enough to do so. And when I say that, I mean I'm not talking about physically. I'm talking about mentally. Get somebody to help you realize what you don't, so that they can help you become a better person. My mother, having that discussion with her, it switched me all around. Twisted me upside down, inside out. Here it is. For decades, I've had this thought. And I was wrong. And so, I don't want you to go through that anymore. I want to help you not go through that anymore. The things that we talked about tonight should help you realize there are different ways of doing things. There are different ways of being. And when you start looking at it that way, guess what? You become that elephant after I yell in your ear, run, and go. All right? So, we're going to wrap it up. This is, again, it's part 3 in our hashtag Life is Worth Living. The next one is all about purpose. Number 4, we save the best for last. There's 2 words that are my favorite: empower and purpose. And there's a reason why we save the best for last, because when we turn the thought, when we've got our thought thinking differently, when we're challenging what it is that's going to ruin us, that's when we have the ability to be receptive to have a purpose. And that's something that I'm really looking forward to. But we have the Arisen Strength Extra, of which is going to be before that. And one thing that I want to say is, we were talking about Speaking to the Heart Network, the radio network. We have moved the Arisen Strength Extra show to Speaking to the Heart Network. And it really worked out well.
Yeah, it worked really well. It's just a little bit different look. We'll still have the video podcast here. You can watch them in Chatsy, watch them on our Arisen Strength website. The Arisen Strength Extra will be over there on Speaking to the Heart, speakingtotheheart.org, speakingtotheheart.org, full archives of our shows. We have a show every day. Yeah. It's lots of different guest hosts, lots of different shows with lots of different hosts, covering a lot of different topics. You can call in live when the shows are live. You can call in. The phone number there is right there on the screen. Save that phone number and call in while the shows are live. Listen to the shows when they're off the archives while they're taped.
Yeah. And on both of, I don't know if it is on Speaking to the Heart yet, but it will be. With Arisen Strength, it definitely is. If you want to contact us, we don't fool around. It says contact us. Contact us. Email us. Let us know what it is that you're thinking. You can either find us on email, Twitter, or Facebook.
Wayne at arisenstrength.com, Shane at arisenstrength.com. We're easy emails. We all know the address because we know our name.
And we get plenty of it. So, keep on sending it. And if you're new, send more, because that helps us. The learn, improve, share thing.
Performance feedback revision.
There you go.
It's communication, right? Communication's 2 parts, right? It's talking, but it's listening.
Yep.
So if we're going to communicate with you, we want to hear. We want to listen back.
Right. So, for now, he's Wayne the Hack Hacker. I'm Shane Schultz. Everybody, live life with purpose. We'll see you on the Arisen Strength Extra show, which is going to be Thursday. What does it end up being?
8 o'clock? 7:30? 8 o'clock?
It's 8 o'clock on Blog Talk Radio with the Speaking to the Heart Network, and it will be on the...
We might do one this week. You never know.
No. Why is that? Oh, the 12th. The 12th, it ends up being the 12th, but we might end up showing some older shows, not showing. See, I got to get out of that. I'm used to the video part of this. when it comes to the Speaking to the Heart Network, there is no video. It's all audio. So we'll upload some older shows every Thursday. So, it's like, for now, live life with purpose. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Happy Halloween. I think that was good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. There was times where it seemed like it was long, and times where it seemed like there wasn't enough time.
Yeah.
By the time we get it all said and done.
That's what it does. It like gets to that 32 mark, and then next thing you know, and it's like, Jesus, it took me everything to get to this 30 mark. I don't know if I can keep going. Then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, holy, we got 5 minutes to go.
All right, you still running your video?
Yeah.
All right, I guess we